What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
7TG. Chapter 101 Luffy's Fifth Gear. Awaken the Sun God. If you lose, you will join the Spade Pirates and become an affiliated pirate group under Lousy. Luo En's cold voice sounded, without any emotion. He helped Whitebeard and Kaido make a decision that surprised everyone, and showed his ambition to annex the two Four Emperors groups. If Kaido and Whitebeard surrender and their powers are combined, to what extent will Luo En's strength evolve? Is it possible to break the current boundaries? This is Luo En's ambition. You want Lousy to surrender to you. Whitebeard's eyes suddenly darkened, and his whole body's aura changed suddenly. He has his own pride, how could he surrender easily? Kaido's expression also became unnatural. They have all become the Four Emperors, the strongest in the pirate world, and now they are surrendering to others, but they are too inferior. It doesn't matter, I'm just giving you a suggestion. If you don't agree, you can gamble with their lives. What if they win? Luo En said with a nonchalant smile. Whitebeard and Kaido looked at each other, and both saw the helplessness in the other's eyes. Luo En has made it very clear that if he doesn't agree with his proposal, he will risk the lives of everyone on the ship. A person's life is no longer qualified to bet. Especially Luo En's words, "What if we win?" made Whitebeard and Kaido feel uncertain. The nature of this gambling game is very obvious. There are no gambling products, it all relies on strength. Especially now it seems that it is more like a prank by Luo En to control all the forces involved in this battle. Even the commander of the Knights of God, the ancient Saint Green, said no. Speak up. Even if they win by then, I'm afraid Luo En will not let old Saint Green go, so there is no need for them to take risks. Even if they surrender temporarily, there is still room for negotiation later. Whitebeard would rather sacrifice himself than bring down other members of the Whitebeard pirates, but Luo En saw this and figured out what Whitebeard wanted. As for Kaido, he had to agree. Okay, that's the bet. Lousy also agreed. With Whitebeard and Kaido nodding, Tezzolo knocked on the golden table, making a crisp sound, and the bet was officially established. Winning or losing depends on the lives of a group of people. Ancient Saint Green was trembling all over, furious because of his incompetence. He originally thought that if Whitebeard and Kaido chose Kong, even if an accident happened, they would be able to fight to the death together. But Luo En changed their bets, leaving Whitebeard and Kaido with room to go. In this way, the only real opponent is himself. Ancient Saint Green secretly scolded Luo En for being despicable and shameless, but he was even more shocked by Luo En's ambition. He actually wanted to conquer the Whitebeard pirates and the Beast's pirates for his own use. Two Four Emperors pirate groups. One Four Emperors group can cause big trouble for Marine. If two Four Emperors pirate groups join forces, the disaster will be beyond control. But now, Luo En, who is stronger than the Four Emperors, has to conquer two Four Emperors pirate groups. When the Spade Pirates, Giant Pirates, Whitebeard Pirates, and Beasts Pirates join forces, they may be able to compete with the world government and threaten the rule of the Celestial Dragons. Thinking of this, Ancient Saint Green suddenly became worried and couldn't help shouting, "Kong, try your best to kill that kid. All hope is on you." "I've got it," Kong responded loudly. Garp's face was gloomy, and he clenched his fists in his soul-body state. The grim ancient sages and Kong are going to kill Luffy. But Luo En actually remained indifferent, watching Luffy being beaten by Kong, and even used Luffy as a bet. He was really a cold-blooded guy. Stop it, Luffy, come back to me, Marshal Kong, he is my grandson, he was just used, he is not the culprit. Garp wanted to stop the fight between Kong and Luffy, but Kong completely ignored Garp. He had complaints and anger towards Garp in his heart. It was because of Garp's remarks that they all made a mistake in their judgment and mistook Luo En for rocks, which led to this tragedy. While everyone is working hard, only Garp enjoys the top treatment. His soul was attacked out of his body and he completely lost his fighting power. Kong even wondered if Garp was cooperating with Luo En in acting. Is this all a conspiracy between Garp and Luo En? It has to be said that to be a leader, you need to be suspicious, otherwise you will definitely not be a good leader. Kong perfectly explained this point. At this moment, he even began to doubt Garp. Facing Garp's grandson, especially Luffy, who was still an enemy, Kong became even more ruthless. But Luffy became more and more courageous as he fought. He couldn't be defeated at all. Seeing that his persuasion was ineffective, Garp immediately returned and went straight to Ace. "Ace. Go and stop Luffy. He is your brother. Do you want to watch Luffy be beaten to death by Kong? For Luo En's ridiculous bet. Ace, listen to me." Ace's eyes flashed and he subconsciously looked at Luo En. Luo En shook his head calmly. "Ace, Luffy will never be able to complete his transformation without the pressure of life and death. This is the best chance." Ace nodded vigorously. He chose to believe Luo En. If Luffy can succeed, he will be able to awaken. Even if it fails, it's impossible for Luffy to really get into trouble when they are all here. Seeing Ace's indifference, Garp sighed in disappointment, feeling extremely helpless. Today's experience can be said to be the most frustrating one for Garp. At the same time, Sengoku slowly woke up. Although he was injured, he was not dead. After he stood up, he saw Aokiji not far away. He struggled to get up and helped Aokiji up, and the two walked towards the gambling room. Sengoku was already indifferent to life and death at this time, so he could do whatever he wanted. Lousy was tired. Whitebeard, Kaido, I didn't expect you to get involved. After getting closer, Sengoku sighed. Lousy didn't expect you to lose to Shiki. Whitebeard said solemnly. Golden Lion immediately shouted after hearing this. Whitebeard, what are you talking about? Do you think you can beat Lousy? Come and try if you have the ability. You are no match for Lousy now. Whitebeard said matter-of-factly. The Golden Lion had just finished a fierce battle with Sengoku, and the consumption was very huge. Shiki was furious and glared at Whitebeard. Damn it, Lousy can't fight, but there are still brothers. Lao Sha, Lao Mo, Sanji, Robin, Usopp, Nami, Chopper, Frankie, Brook. You can't fight now, everyone, come help me beat people up. Golden Lion yelled, his arrogant attitude fully exposed. Whitebeard. Crocodile turned into quicksand and floated in front of Whitebeard. He really wanted to take action. Everyone, calm down, Golden Lion, don't cause trouble, Lousy has big things to do now. Luo En warned Golden Lion with full black line. Golden Lion restrained his arrogance, and Crocodile temporarily suppressed his fighting spirit. All eyes were on the battle between Kong and Luffy. Even the ancient Saint Green, Garp, Sengoku, Whitebeard, and Kaido were very puzzled as to why Luo En had to let Luffy and Na Yin. Question mark. Is it just for the outcome of a gamble? It doesn't seem that important, right? At this moment, several figures jumped down from above. It was Frankie and Chopper. When the Golden Lion called their names just now, they went to the king's heights above. Luo En, we have found Baoshu Adam. However, if we want to build a peerless warship, we still need a lot of materials. The hull keel of the main ship. None of these Baoshu Adam can meet the standard, unless you are prepared to reduce the hull size, but in this case, all the patterns and parts will have to be changed. Frankie said disappointedly. Unexpectedly, even if he found Baoshu Adam, he still didn't meet the requirements. For the peerless battleship, Luo En and Frankie already have drawings, even down to every part and required function, but now they can't find suitable materials for the keel of the hull. Luo En had a headache. I'll keep him under guard first, and take him away when it's over, and then I'll think of a solution. That's all, alas. Frankie sighed, feeling very helpless. Doflamingo and Don Quixote family cadres were all wiped out, and Luo also successfully killed his enemies and got revenge for his revenge. Everyone in spades gathered together, their expressions extremely serious. Sengoku and Aokiji sat on the ground and rested regardless of their appearance. Whitebeard suddenly looked at Ace and asked with interest. Fire brat, your name is Ace, right? Portgas d Ace. Ace looked up and saw Whitebeard's eyes that seemed to know everything. His heart trembled slightly and he nodded. Yes. What a coincidence. Lousy has a friend who has a weapon also named Ace. When we were drinking, he said that he would name his child Ace in the future. Whitebeard's eyes flashed with nostalgia. He sighed with emotion. Garp turned his head in shock and looked at Whitebeard. It's hard for him to believe that Whitebeard actually guessed Ace's identity. Roger told Whitebeard all this. Kaido frowned and suddenly said, could the person you were talking about be Roger? However, Kaido didn't say those two words, but he also remembered Roger's weapon, which seemed to be called Ace, but the kid in front of him didn't seem to have anything to do with Roger. Ace took a deep breath and said seriously, Roger. What you want to say is One Piece, Roger, right? After experiencing so much, he has completely grown up and no longer feels that Roger is something that cannot be discussed. When he says it now, he feels somewhat calm and relieved. I also have a name, Gal D. Ace. I am Roger's child. Ace said calmly, and the knot in his heart was untied. Luo En breathed a sigh of relief. Ace could face this matter calmly. He was happy for Ace. Otherwise, Roger would always be influencing Ace. How could he be free? Garp collapsed and rushed towards Ace but passed through. Ace. What are you talking about? There was nothing he could do to stop it. Gla la la la. Funny kid, you will be more powerful than Roger in the future. Whitebeard narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect that the guess was true, and Ace admitted it just like that. When he got the news about Ace, he originally wanted to take care of the child. Unexpectedly, the other party actually became teammates with Luo En and grew stronger than expected. Damn, is he really Roger's child? Kaido's eyes widened with disbelief on his face. He had made a slight connection just now, but he cut off the idea because in his opinion, this was simply impossible. Zero. Please give me flowers, Zero. It turned out to be true. Roger's child. Golden Lion Shiki looked at Ace dumbfounded, his heart trembling with excitement. Captain, is he telling the truth? Golden Lion asked Luo En in disbelief. Luo En nodded and said, really, Ace is Roger's child. After receiving a positive reply from the most trusted captain, Golden Lion suddenly laughed, ha ha ha, I didn't expect that Roger's child is still alive. My eldest nephew, your uncle will protect you from now on. Golden Lion. Son and Roger, they really fell in love and killed each other. The Golden Lion almost died for Roger. Naval Headquarters. Great nephew. This title made Ace's lips twitch hard. Captain Roger's son, Ace. Buggy looked suddenly enlightened, with tears in his eyes and his emotions became emotional. Roger was like his father. He had taken care of him and Shanks when they grew up. He never expected to see Roger's son again, especially his own partner. Buggy was really emotional. Extremely. He is Roger's son. Sengoku suddenly stood up from the ground in shock. Aokiji looked stunned, his brain was already numb from thinking. Not far away, Hancock, Jinbei, and Eagle Eye seemed to have heard a fantasy. Each one was more shocked than the other. No one could believe that Roger's child could still survive in the world. Ancient Saint Green's eyes were gloomy as he stared at Ace, his fists already clenched. No one could have imagined that Marine's massive operation back then still failed to arrest Roger's bloodline, allowing Ace to survive. Garp, what the hell is going on? Why did Roger's bloodline become your grandson? Don't tell me that you saved him back then. Sengoku pointed at Garp and yelled angrily. Scolded. Sengoku was really angry. Garp unexpectedly saved Roger's bloodline. It was Roger who entrusted Ace and his son to me in the first place. I couldn't just sit back and watch. Garp lowered his head, feeling helpless but full of sadness. Garp, Sengoku shouted with an angry look on his face. It's a done deal. Everyone who knows the truth just knows the truth and nothing can be changed. Damn, Garp, what you do is betraying the world government. You are betraying Marine. You are betraying the justice in your heart. You are a traitor. After Kong heard the news, he exploded instantly. He could no longer suppress his anger towards Garp and scolded him severely. Garp was even directly judged as a traitor. At this moment, Kong suddenly noticed Garp's body not far away, protected by Robin's arms. The current Garp has no ability to fight back. Kong rushed out angrily, swung a powerful and heavy punch, and even entangled Conqueror's haki. Flashing arcs of electricity surrounded his arms and fists, and he punched the card fiercely. Whose body? Oops, Luo En, my arms can't stop him. Robin gritted his teeth and asked Luo En for help. Marshal Kong. Sengoku was dumbfounded. There is no need to be so excited. Stop. Ace's eyes instantly turned red, his arm burst into golden flames, and he threw it out without hesitation. Ice shield. Aokiji gritted his teeth and condensed the cold air again, spreading out to protect Garp's body. Whitebeard and Kaido looked stunned. No one expected that Kong would actually attack Garp, and it would be his ultimate move. He is crazy. Garp stared blankly at the scene where Kong took action, something seemed to be broken in his heart, and he suddenly seemed to have aged several years. Yohohoho, it's not good. Brook was floating back and forth anxiously, but now even if the soul's power is removed, the soul cannot return to the body instantly. This is how to do. Ace's fire and Aokiji's ice were originally facing each other, but now they united, one to protect Garp, and the other to attack Kong. But their shooting speed was still slow. Robin urgently summoned his arm to strengthen the protection of Garp's body, but this level might not be able to block Kong's angry punch. There is nothing we can do. Sengoku fell to the ground in despair and was in a state of embarrassment. He can blame Garp, but he never wants Garp to die. I won't. Luffy gritted his teeth and word after word came out from between his teeth. Let you hurt my grandfather. Luffy suddenly appeared in front of Kong and blocked Kong's fist with his face. What's wrong with me? Luffy's body is flowing with wisps of white flocculent aura. Ah, the melodious and ancient breath slowly awakened from Luffy's body. Luffy actually resisted the punch with his face and then flew away. Luo En moved his fingers slightly, and Garp's body was directly replaced, but no one noticed it because the original position was wrapped in layers by Robin's arms. Like a heavy war drum. Just as Kong's iron fist fell. Between the lightning and flint, Luffy, who was lying on the ground, was already unconscious, but his heart was beating violently. 12:1. Kong was actually forced to retreat a long distance. He raised his head in surprise and looked at the fallen Luffy, preparing to attack again. At the critical moment, but suddenly he felt something and stopped moving. Chapter 102. I am numb. When I opened my eyes, I saw Joyboy. Open black lens bracket. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Boom, boom, boom. The powerful heartbeat became stronger and louder, even causing Luffy's body to bounce on the ground. The picture is scary and weird. Blah, blah. Silks of dark red lightning flashed around Luffy. Luffy. Garp murmured blankly, his pupils trembling. What's going on with this kid? Kong frowned, feeling a great sense of crisis. Luffy's originally black hair had turned milky white, like a white flame that was flying and burning. Milky white flocculent aura continued to float from his body, one after another, and even the clothes on his body turned completely white. Such a weird scene made everyone widen their eyes unconsciously. Hey, what's wrong with Luffy? It seems like he has changed into a different person. Usopp stared, and Tien Ben shouted in surprise. Luffy, are you okay? Nami shouted worriedly. Ace's heart trembled, and the almost dusty memories in his mind were opened again. He thought of the reason why he wanted Luffy to come on the ship, because of Luffy's devil fruit. So, what Luffy looks like now, doesn't it mean that? Ace suddenly turned his head to look at Luo En and said anxiously, Luo En, Luffy. The words were not fully spoken, and were limited to the tacit understanding between the two. Luo En had a light smile on his lips and nodded slightly. Seeing Luo En nodding, Ace's heart suddenly relaxed and became more and more excited. Luffy, the fruit has awakened. Perhaps no one would have thought that Luffy's devil fruit is the fishiest devil fruit, right? What's going on? Straw Hat Boy can still stand up. Sengoku looked at Luffy, who stood up again in the middle of the court in shock, staring directly at him, looking very difficult to understand. You were beaten to such an extent by Kong, and you can still stand up. What's wrong? Luffy's confused murmur sounded. Luffy, who had fallen down, suddenly stood up, his body shaking. 423. The steps were staggering, and it looked like he was jumping to God tier, and more like he was about to fall down at any time. Why can you still stand up? Luffy murmured to himself, his milky white hair covering his eyes, but it couldn't cover the smile on his lips, which looked very happy. Milky white flocculent breath floated out from his body, connected and surrounded behind him, like a halo behind the god, and the fluffy ribbons wrapped around his arms. Already lost. But it became more enjoyable, ha ha ha. Luffy laughed loudly without warning, and the loud laughter echoed throughout the battlefield, seeming to make everyone happy unknowingly. It's so strange. I'm so happy when I hear Luffy's laughter. Chopper turned into a common man, touched his head and said with a bright smile. Yeah, why do you want to laugh along with me? Frankie said he didn't understand, but his smile was not concealed. Strange, the Straw Hat Boy suddenly felt like a different person. Kaido frowned, his face very confused. He felt a strong sense of oppression from Luffy, and Luffy's laughter was still quietly affecting his emotions. What kind of strength does a guy who can stand up after being knocked down so many times have? What happened to him now? What a strong hockey. Whitebeard couldn't help but said in shock with a surprised look on his face. Hey, hey. Thunder and lightning flashed around Luffy, with deep dark red lightning and golden lightning alternating with each other, flashing violently as Luffy lay on his back on the ground. The invisible and powerful Conqueror's Haki is revealed naturally, with Luffy as the center and radiating out in all directions. Red lightning instantly filled the sky and filled the entire island. A special electric wave suddenly formed. It was passed on without anyone noticing. Although I don't know the reason, it feels like Luffy has become unusual. Ha ha ha. Robin covered her mouth and chuckled. The crisis just now was resolved and she relaxed. Yo-ho-ho-ho, what happened to Luffy? This is not a universal training warehouse, it's really strange. Brook was happy, but also showed his incomprehension. Even if you get a reward, you should be able to complete it in the universal training warehouse, but what is Luffy's situation now? What is he doing? Kong's eyes were serious, and the bad feeling in his heart was getting stronger and stronger. Why did Luffy stand up this time, and everything about him looked different? Ancient Saint Green's pupils trembled, his face was full of shock, and he trembled and murmured, it appeared. That devil fruit appears. Joy Boy. The ancient giant elephant, which had lived for thousands of years, received this familiar and long-lost radio wave, and a long-lost name came to his mind. Elephant Lord. The super giant elephant that has lived for more than 1,000 years belongs to Chintami Inalada. Past partner of the sinful Joey Boy. Because he made a mistake in ancient times, he was punished and ordered to walk only. In the back is the Principality of Furry, inhabited by fur tribes. After hundreds of years, the elephant owner's mood finally fluctuated. Joy Boy. Ha ha ha. Who was talking? He 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 he. Luffy felt the emotional voice, but didn't know what was going on. Instead, he jumped up and down on the ground more excitedly and joyfully. The ground was like a trampoline, full of elasticity. Luffy burst out with extremely infectious energy. Chang's loud laughter and unbridled laughter echoed around, making everyone watching feel numb. Zoro said seriously, Luffy seems to have gained incredible abilities, and his aura has become terrifying, even more terrifying than the beast. What an unimaginable change. The ground beneath his feet bounced with him and turned into rubber. Sanji lit the cigarette and took a puff. What is Straw Hat doing? This aura is so terrifying. Golden Lion stared in shock, becoming more and more shocked. I originally thought that Luffy was going to lose, but he ended up being close to death and was able to regain his health even though he was on the verge of death. I'm afraid this guy is also a monster. Luffy suddenly became so happy, and his laughter was so contagious. Is the golden lightning around him also formed by Conqueror's Haki? Luo looked at Luffy even more shocked, completely confused by such a change in Luffy. More and more powerful lightning began to flash as Luffy jumped. Golden lightning, dark red lightning, complement each other. Boom. Luffy's momentum suddenly exploded, and a wave of milky white air emerged, spreading to all directions, accompanied by even brighter lightning roars. It's become more enjoyable. As soon as the words fell, milky white air waves swept across like a storm. Boom. Where Luffy was, the ground exploded instantly, radiating light and flying away countless rocks. Ha 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 ha. Luffy stood firm, with an extremely terrifying aura surrounding him. His eyes were full of majesty, as if there was a sun shape enlarging in his pupils, and the lightning surrounding him flashed fiercely, as if cheering for their god. The next second, Luffy opened his arms and looked up to the sky laughing. Dark red lightning shot up from Luffy's head into the sky, instantly erupting with overwhelming power and tearing apart all the dark clouds in the sky, revealing the originally clear sky. Clear away the clouds and see the dawn. The bright sunshine passes through everything without any obstruction, falls on the island, and shines on everyone. Sunshine, unprecedented warmth. Okay, so awesome. The sudden burst of momentum dispersed all the dark clouds. Buggy looked up in shock, squinting his eyes in the sunlight. The terrifying momentum. It's almost even surpassing the level of the four emperors. What happened to the Straw Hat Boy? Jinbei opened his mouth in shock. Hawkeye, who was supported by him, slowly woke up and stared blankly at the scene in front of him, as this Straw Hat Luffy. How long have you been unconscious? Straw Hat Luffy has become so scary. What kind of monster is Luffy? Everything around him has changed with him. Crocodile was extremely shocked by the power Luffy showed. Hehehehe, it seems that I have always underestimated Luffy. He may not lose to Kong now. Mariah said excitedly. Lightning is so scary. Perona floated behind Luo En, holding Luo En's arm tightly with her little hands. Garp, what happened to the Straw Hat Boy? Sengoku looked at Garp with confusion, thinking that Garp should be aware of Luffy's changes. Garp stared blankly at the scene where Luffy Haki was revealed, with mixed feelings in his heart. He sighed and said, it should be, the fruit has awakened. The fruit awakens. Can rubber fruit still awaken? Sengoku's expression became obviously stunned. Rubber awakening. It's just a joke. How can a mere piece of rubber awaken such a powerful ability? Doflamingo's string fruit awakened just now, and there was no such big scene. Kaido said doubtfully on the sidelines. Compared with Doflamingo, the movement generated by Luffy is a bit too big. That powerful heartbeat drives everyone's heartbeat like a drum. An extremely shocking ability. Ace showed a relieved smile and cheered. Luffy, you finally did it. Next, we have to look for Sabo. Ha 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 ha. At this moment when Luffy truly awakened, Ace finally relaxed completely. Everything Luo En said is being verified. Luffy's fruit is not ordinary rubber, but the sun god Nika, who has now awakened. Then, if nothing else happens, they will go looking for Sabo, who has been missing for many years. If Luffy can awaken, then Sabo must still be alive. Garp, what else do you know? Sengoku looked at Garp suspiciously, always feeling that Garp already knew some secret, but was unwilling to tell it. Luo En's face was calm and he smiled as he watched Luffy release his strength. A force in his body also awakened and began to spread. Only fruit awakening can explain the occurrence of this scene, but rubber fruit is just an ordinary devil fruit, how could such a big change happen? Whitebeard frowned, not understanding the scene in front of him. Dad, I feel like my emotions have been infected by the Straw Hat Boy. Marco said in shock, with cold sweat even breaking out on his forehead. What kind of power is this that is deeply rooted in people's hearts? Lord Green Ancient Sage. Sengoku turned his head and saw Ancient Saint Green with an extremely unnatural expression. His whole body was trembling, as if he was trying his best to restrain his emotions. His eyes were shaking violently, as if he was more nervous than anyone present. As if awakened by Sengoku's voice, Ancient Saint Green gradually came back to his senses, and his pupils focused again. Hey, what do you know? Kaido asked bluntly. At this moment, Ancient Saint Green was in an unprecedentedly heavy mood. He ignored Kaido's attitude at all and kept to himself, as if he was telling everyone else. This fruit of Straw Hat has the name of God. Another name for rubber fruit is Zone Renranguo. Real phantom beast species Nika form. The voice of Ancient Saint Green slowly sounded, and as his words fell, the expressions of Whitebeard, Kaido, Sengoku and others all froze, and their faces were dull. What? Rubber fruit is not Paramesha. Not even rubber fruit. Sengoku's eyes widened and he looked extremely shocked. Rubber fruit is actually a zone fantasy beast species. Renren fruit Nika form. Whitebeard looked stunned, even he did not expect this result. Damn. Just like Lousy, they are both fantasy beasts. Kaido was confused. After working on it for a long time, it turned out to be a devil fruit of the same phantom species as him. No wonder he has such powerful abilities and inspiring momentum. Renren fruit. Woohoo. Chopper felt extremely aggrieved. The Renren fruit, phantom beast species, and Nika form sound very hockey. And he, the fruit of everyone and the form of common people, no longer plays. At this time, Luffy was enjoying his abilities as he pleased. The ground everywhere he went turned into elastic rubber, just like a trampoline for children to play on. Luffy was having a great time. Every time it bounces, dark red and golden lightning shuttles around, bombarding the ground. Kong was stunned by this scene, and the CPU in his head was a bit exhausted. Really? Are you, an old guy like you, talking nonsense? Shiki questioned unhappily. Rubber fruit turns into a fantasy beast, is it too weird? Even his companions couldn't help but doubt the authenticity of this fruit, especially since he got the relevant information from the mouth of Ancient Sage Green. Ancient Saint Green clenched his fists, resisting the urge to punch the golden lion, and continued in a solemn voice. Its body has the characteristics of concrete rubber, and it can fight as it pleases. It brings smiles to people. Liberation fighters, also known as Sun God Nika. It is said that awakening will sublimate the power and freedom of the rubber body, which is the most incredible ability in the world. There was dead silence again. Sun God Nika. This time, even Whitebeard was completely stunned, with the most shocked expression on his face, and his moans were trembling. Sun God Nika. Is the power of the liberation fighters this? That's the power of the legendary Joey Boy. Whitebeard was extremely shocked, as if there was some big secret about to be revealed. Rubber is just a characteristic of the power of the Sun God. After a long time of research, it turns out that the Straw Hat Boy is the legendary Joey Boy. Kaido's eyes trembled, and there was a little more in his eyes. An almost imperceptible loneliness. Joy Boy, turned out to be the Sun God, was blessed with a powerful area. The Straw Hat Boy is the Joey Boy that the world government has been looking for. It turns out that the devil fruit that the world government has been looking for is the rubber fruit, and it was eaten by Garp's grandson as early as 3.8. Got it. Sengoku finally figured out that the world government's search for devil fruit was actually to find Joy Boy's power. Just to deceive others, the world government changed the name of the Nika fruit to rubber. Holy crap. Luffy is the sun god. Is he Joey Boy? What the hell, isn't he the successor of Roger's will? That bastard Roger isn't as pervert as this kid. Golden Lion. He used foul language one after another and even began to doubt himself and doubt Roger. Rubber transforms into the most powerful phantom beast, which may be unbelievable to anyone. Although it is difficult to understand, you have to believe it. Because that's what it is. Luo En said with a happy expression, the power after seeking peace was truly restored. Luffy is not the only one who is the sun god. Everything I want to do can be done now. It looks like we can fight for a while longer, hehehehe. The sound of the heartbeat is also very interesting. This is my highest point. This is Gear 5. Luffy cheered loudly, his eyes like the sun narrowed and focused, and finally fell on Kong. The unfinished battle continues. Mariajoy, Pangu City. Among the flowers, the void throne lit up with bright light, and a figure with a vague outline appeared on the throne. Lord I am. The 5 elders knelt on one knee and greeted him in unison. The figure on the throne has a human body and arms, wearing a crown with 4 towering spikes and a cloak that reaches the ground. He slowly opened his slender eyes, with thin circles surrounding the red pupils. And the first picture he saw when he opened his eyes was the picture of Luffy turning on 5th gear, projected by the video phone bug. I am, who had just woken up, was numb on the spot. Chapter 103 Luo En becomes a god. The second sun god. Please customize. After waking up from a deep sleep, the first moment he opened his eyes, what he saw was not the warm and beautiful picture, but the destined enemy and the biggest threat, Joy Boy. The Yimu people were all numb, and the eyes in their red outlined eyes were obviously stagnant. 5 elders, collective silence. They were so heartbroken and speechless. Damn, in order to give the awakened I am a better insight into the situation, the 5 elders came with a video phone bug and already played the real-time footage. However, what made them speechless and confused was that at the moment I am woke up, the picture of Luffy appeared. Gear 5. Luffy's laughing voice echoed among the flowers. Joy Boy and I am woke up at the same time. I am was awakened originally, and then saw this scene. You can imagine how he felt. The 5 elders clearly saw Luffy's transformation, and they really wanted to die. I originally thought that I couldn't solve the powerful problem of Luo En, so I tried to forcefully awaken I am, but the sun god actually awakened. The Nika fruit user is actually on Luo En's ship. It is at this moment that the fruit awakens. With the power and freedom to sublimate the rubber body, he awakens the most incredible abilities in the world. What a coincidence, I am saw it. Nika, sun god, Joy Boy. The figure on the void throne suddenly made a sharp and magnetic voice, but the voice was full of anger, spreading like a soul storm. Countless lightnings were centered on the lonely and aloof figure on the void throne, and were released to the surroundings. The 5 elders who were half kneeling below lowered their heads and shouted in unison. Sir, please calm down. After a while, the soul storm ended and the lightning gradually converged. Im's mood calmed down. There are very few things that can affect Im's emotions, but seeing Joey Boy, it is inevitable that he will be too excited. The emergence of Joey Boy will change many things. Tell me about it. I am said calmly, his plain voice full of majesty, as well as the extreme arrogance and confidence brought by the power to control everything. The 5 elders came to their senses one after another and began to wonder about the changes that had occurred during this time. The figure on the void throne is calm, but the red eyes are getting deeper and deeper. Dressrosa. With Luffy's true awakening, everyone witnessed the most terrifying thing. Rubber fruit is the strongest devil fruit hidden by the world government. Zone phantom beast species human fruit Nika form. Haha. I really didn't expect that the world government hid the truth and got himself involved in the end. Not only did he not get this fruit, he even watched the power of this fruit awaken in others. Golden Lion Shiki said sarcastically from the side. You can put the sun god thing aside for now. Anyway, if the spade pirates can close the door and comfort themselves afterwards, now they just want to mock their opponents. Ancient Saint Green's face turned blue, white, yellow, green, red. He had collapsed. After living such a long life, someone else's mentality will explode once I buy something. Damn Luo En. Damn the sun god. Huh, do you want to continue fighting? La 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 la. I'm very curious about the surprising power of the sun god. Whitebeard suddenly laughed and looked at Luffy who was about to attack Kong. The strongest fantasy beast species. Lousy doesn't think so. If he still can't beat Kong, then everything will be gone. Kaido said unconvinced. The most powerful fantasy beast species. It should be his blue dragon form anyway. Oops, the legendary power that subverts the world. Straw Hat will be the biggest enemy. Garp, this is your grandson. Sengoku looked at Garp in disbelief, deeply doubting how Garp taught his descendants. The son is the leader of the revolutionary army. One grandson is of Roger's blood. Another grandson turned out to be Joey Boy. The blood of the monkey family is so domineering. Especially the excited Sengoku subconsciously thought that Luffy's awakened sun god was his biggest enemy, and completely forgot that Luo En was the most terrifying existence. Even Luffy, who transformed into the sun god, was no match for Luo En. Aokiji's face was full of shock, and he said nothing from beginning to end, but his eyes were a little sad. He had the idea of quitting Marine. In order to protect Garp, he had already taken action against Kong, and this was just one of the reasons. The biggest reason was that Kong was actually able to take action against Garp, which shattered the faith Aokiji had expected. Luffy really awakened. The power of Joy Boy, the Sun God, the liberation fighter, sigh. Garp sighed worriedly, his mood extremely complicated. Kong actually attacked him just now, which made him extremely disappointed in world government. Garp originally couldn't stand the world government's behavior of guarding the celestial dragons, but now it's good that the teacher-like figure he always respected would actually kill him. Kushi Ling Garp is extremely medical. Moreover, after Luffy awakens, he will become the biggest enemy of the world government. The two sides will be in a fight to the death. How should Garp deal with it? Garp was extremely tired, and even thought, it would be great if he had always been in this state of soul, and he would have saved himself so many helpless worries. Old man, don't worry, we will always be with Luffy. Ace comforted Garp. Yes, I'm afraid the next voyage will be very interesting. Zoro's lips curved into an evil smile. He can already imagine that there will be a steady stream of people challenging him. Don't worry, the world government will never let us go easily in the future. They have the power of more than 100 participating countries in the world. Of course it will be very interesting in the future. Sanji said with disdain on the side, despising Zoro who only thinks about fighting and has no idea at all. Don't understand the situation. Ha ha ha, what are you worried about? What are you afraid of following the captain? Shiki laughed arrogantly at the side. He was very happy that he made the right choice. Luo En is a real thigh, much better than that guy rocks. Moreover, the Sun God, the first swordsman, the God of Fire, and the God of Thunder are almost all on board now. What is there to be afraid of? I didn't expect that the first battle in the New World would be the rise of the Spade Pirates. Crocodile sighed quietly, his eyes full of longing. Jehehehe, no one could have imagined that it would only take 2 months. Moria laughed in a low voice. Okay, let's wait until the battle is over. Luo En interrupted everyone with a smile. If I didn't interrupt, there might be a celebration banquet on the spot. You are actually the devil fruit that the world government has been looking for. Kong gritted his teeth, his aura lingering all over his body, making him look extremely heavy, and his eyes were filled with evil spirits. Luffy is destined to be the #1 enemy. You, like your father, are the worst criminals. Kong roared angrily, and his figure instantly jumped out. Lightning exploded crazily on his powerful fist, and he rushed towards Luffy with strong killing intent. Upon hearing Kong's words, Ace's eyes instantly became extremely cold, and his murderous intent suddenly appeared. He deserves to die, Ace said coldly with a sullen face, his tone becoming particularly deep. Luo En stood next to Ace and consoled him, he really deserves to die. He won't survive. He won't survive. A light word, but it was Luo En's guarantee for Ace. No matter what happens, Kong will definitely die today. Of course, it is very possible that Luffy can reach the opponent without Luo En taking action. The Green Ancient Sages, Whitebeard, Kaido, and Sengoku were watching with numbness, as Kong's life or death was decided so easily. That's the commander-in-chief of the world government, a man that even Whitebeard and Kaido don't dare to look down upon. That's enough. You are not qualified to pronounce a sentence. Luffy interrupted Kong's words. Milky white flame clouds floated behind him. With a strong heartbeat, Luffy spun quickly. Rubber white whip. Like a tornado, it spins rapidly, swinging the legs wrapped around armament hockey, and launches an attack. Bang bang bang. In an instant, he collided with Kong's fist countless times. Kong's face changed slightly, he gritted his teeth and said, Sun God. I will arrest you today. As he said this, he clearly felt that Luffy had become stronger. After the ability is awakened, the power of the rubber body will be greatly enhanced. What's more, Luffy's state during this period of time has been cultivated to be very powerful, far exceeding that of him in the original plot 2 years later during the Battle of Onigashima. The reason why he has not awakened is just a selling opportunity. His physical skills, Haki, are stronger than his own in the original plot. So after awakening, the improvement will be even greater. At least looking at the Spade Pirates, Luffy has surpassed Ace and become the second person. Don't talk about Kong, even if Whitebeard, Kaido and Luffy fight to the end, the winner will be Luffy. During the fierce collision, Luffy suddenly reached out and grabbed a bolt of lightning from his side, and threw it towards Kong. Luffy caught lightning with his bare hands. Usopp's eyes widened and Tien Fen was confused. Can lightning be caught? How did Luffy do it? So handsome. Chopper's eyes were twinkling with stars, he had already forgotten about his civilian form. Catching lightning with bare hands really dazzled everyone. Isn't it? How did Luffy catch lightning? A blue thunder appeared in Nami's palm. Nami is puzzled. She is a thunder fruit user and can control thunder, but how did Luffy do it? The Sun God's ability is so pervert. Bang! Lightning exploded and Kong was forced back some distance. Rubber white stamp. Luffy bit his fingers to inflate, and the soles of his feet began to enlarge. A kick fell from the sky, covering armament hockey, entangling Conqueror's hockey, and countless lightnings floated. Fist bone impact. Kong let out a low shout and threw a powerful and heavy punch. Boom. The entire island trembled. Kong's figure flew out without any warning, and he was no longer Luffy's opponent in a head-to-head encounter. The ground behind Kong suddenly began to squirm, and then circled upwards, wrapping Kong tightly. It turned out that Luffy stretched out one arm, grabbed the ground, assimilated it into rubber, and launched an attack on Kong. Ha ha ha. So fun. Luffy danced happily, even lying on the ground and clapping with his feet, having a great time. As unreasonable as Logia, Whitebeard whispered, realizing the terrifying power of Luffy's fruit. Kong was no match for that kick just now. The current Straw Hat Boy's strength may have completely surpassed Kong. After awakening, not only did his abilities change, but his body even improved significantly. It's so unreasonable. Kaido frowning, eyes deep. Although I don't want to admit it, the end of my confrontation with Luffy is probably not very beautiful. 5 elders. What are you doing? Cold sweat was oozing out from the forehead of Ancient Saint Green, who was extremely nervous. How could he have thought that rocks didn't succeed and instead brought out Joey Boy? Asshole. Kong looked angry and struggled with all his strength. But the rubbery ground wrapped around him, even changing its shape as he moved, like a dog skin plaster that left him helpless. Ah! Kong looked up to the sky and shouted angrily, getting angry again. Puff. The ground that turned into rubber was directly impacted into pieces by the momentum released by Kong, flying all over the sky. The aura around Kong is extremely depressing, and the power that explodes with full force is not casual. His hair is almost standing on end, and his muscles are bulging, giving you a sense of oppression. His arms are covered with dark luster armament haki, wrapped around Conqueror's haki, and red arcs. Exploded and roared wildly. The pupils in Kong's eyes were no longer visible, and turned completely white. His whole person fell into a state of madness, rage, violence, and murder, and his strength increased a lot. No. Kong is starting to fight. Luo En, why don't you take action? Garp's expression changed and he immediately looked at Luo En. Luo En spread his hands and said, Old man, at least I have some confidence in your grandson. If the Sun God loses, then Luo En can only say that Kong is awesome. Luffy has been using the Universal Training Chamber for at least a few years. Luo En doesn't know what to lose. I feel like Luffy has surpassed me, Ace said quietly, feeling very stressed. He never thought that one day his younger brother would surpass him in strength. How could he protect him? Kong is going to fight to the death. Whitebeard's eyes were solemn, feeling the terror of Kong's blow. Kaido also said, if you win at this level, you will look like a sun god. Ancient Saint Green squinted his eyes 147, praying in his heart that Kong could kill Luffy with one punch. Luffy, stop playing around and get serious. Luo En looked at the laughing Luffy and couldn't help but give him a little reminder. Okay, let's end it then. Rubber hyphenation point ape Shinso. Luffy's arm inflated and entered the state of the Ape King gun, but it was even more terrifying than the Ape King gun, covered by the Ape Shinso, armament haki, Conqueror's haki, and even the arm was wrapped with a layer of floating flame clouds. Thunder exploded and lightning roared. Luffy's fist, which was as big as half an island, almost covered the sky, as if it was falling from the sky with a rumble. The ultimate fist bone Tarzan impact. Kong concentrated his strongest punch and roared towards the sky. His fist seemed to be wrapped around a majestic and mighty mountain, soaring into the sky, surrounded by light and full of violent impact. Boom. Fist bump. The extremely violent impact suddenly spread out in all directions. The island collapsed inch by inch, and countless marine soldiers and world government soldiers were buried. The waves rolled and roared restlessly, as if begging for mercy. Ah! Ape Shinso. Luffy roared suddenly, his body bent a little, and he threw his arm out like a slingshot. He burst out with strength again, instantly suppressing Kong. Boom. With a loud and heroic sound, the mountains in front of Kong collapsed. His whole body was sluggish, and his white eyes showed their pupils again, but they seemed empty and lifeless, and he fell from the air at a high speed. As Kong fell, the impact of Luffy's fist poured down, and wherever his fist covered, the ground was ruthlessly destroyed. Almost half of the abyss appeared on the entire island. Kong's figure sank with the collapse and disappeared without a trace. One punch easily destroyed half of the island. Everyone was shocked by this unreasonable punch. Martial Kong. Sengoku stared blankly at the endless abyss, feeling lost for a while. Kong was defeated and even sank directly into the abyss, not knowing whether he would live or die. The power of the Sun God is so terrifying. Kaido's eyes widened in disbelief. With Kong's full blow, Luffy defeated the opponent so easily. Can the Sun God be so pervert? Is Luffy going to become the second Luo En? Kaido began to murmur in his heart, and there was a more important reason, that is, he lost the bet, and according to the bet, he had to join the Spade Pirates. But when Kaido turned his head to look at Luo En, he was suddenly startled. What a powerful punch. Whitebeard couldn't help but praise, a fighting spirit quietly emerging from the depths of his eyes. If we could fight against the Sun God, it would be a good ending, right? Whitebeard thought silently in his heart, and then subconsciously looked at Luo En, who had been silent. The next second, Whitebeard's eyes suddenly became dull. Luo En's black hair suddenly turned milky white, and milky aura formed a cloud of flame, lingering around him. This scene is exactly the same as Luffy. Everyone was completely stunned. Chapter 104 Two Gods in One Ship. Open black lens bracket. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Holy Land, Mariajoy, Pangu City. After waking up, I listened to the report of the 5 elders, and the calm lake in his heart gradually began to ripple. 14-year-old Kaiba Tamang. The 15-year-old swordsman defeated Hawkeye. Luo En even killed 2 Marine Admiral and Shichibukai Tyrant Bear with 1 blow. Not even the members of the Knights of God could survive for a second in the hands of Luo En. One after another, every unbelievable thing happened, which made I am not so calm, and even felt a little funny and impossible. At this moment, a picture of Luffy using the rubber ape Shinso to defeat Kong appeared on the screen. The 5 elders paused, and their expressions became increasingly bitter. Kong was actually defeated by the newly awakened Sun God. How could that kid be so strong? The 5 elders suddenly found it unbelievable. Even the Sun God couldn't defeat Kong just after the fruit awakened. Kong's strength is already at the top level, but he still lost, which means that Luffy's strength is beyond the control of the world government. Joy Boy actually appears again. This time, I will kill you completely. On the Void Throne, scarlet eyes flickered with a faint light, and a strong sense of oppression was released from his body, causing the 5 elders below to tremble and murmur in low voices, filled with endless killing intent. Joy Boy is Im's biggest enemy. Even Rox and Roger are not enough for Im to pay attention to or be afraid of. Only Joey Boy exists like an old enemy, and Im will never let him go. The last time Joy Boy woke up, Im used various powers to finally kill him. But that also created 100 years of blank history, erasing all traces of existence. In the history that has disappeared for 100 years, it is not just Joy Boy's affairs, but also a greater unknown secret. At this time, Im saw the awakened form of the Nika fruit again, and the murderous intention in his heart gradually filled the air. Just when Im was thinking about how to deal with Luffy, he suddenly saw that devilish picture. Luffy jumped down and stood side by side with Luo En. The exact same white hair, the exact same milky white flame clouds. These are exactly 2 sun gods. What did he do? Im's voice suddenly rose, and a terrifying storm emanated from his body, rushing through the flowers. Deep cracks appeared on the hard ground, and countless red lightning screamed without scruple, showing the anger in his heart. The 5 elders, who were already trembling, almost buried their heads on the ground at this moment. They were also confused. What is that? Straw Hat's newly awakened sun god form. What happened to Luo En? 2 sun gods. What the hell is going on? The 5 elders roared in their hearts. Luo En was simply the biggest scourge in their hearts. Why would he turn into Joey Boy too? Im's confused and angry roar exploded in Pangu City. It seemed like the whole of Mariajoy was shaking. Dressrosa. Luo En pursed his lips slightly and stared at Ancient Sage Green with calm eyes. At that moment, Ancient Saint Green tried to escape in the chaos, but was directly captured by Luo En. The powerful aura falling from the sky enveloped Ancient Saint Green and immediately scared Ancient Saint Green so that he did not dare to act rashly. The reason why Ancient Sage Green really didn't dare to act rashly was because of the incredible scene that happened in front of him, but he was completely confused. As Kaido spoke, he turned to look at Luo En and was stunned. The moment Whitebeard saw Luo En's state, he was also stunned. Buzz. The 2 of them felt their heads buzzing and were completely confused. Luo En's appearance. Isn't this what Luffy looked like when he awakened? Are there 2 forms of Zone Everyone Fruit Phantom Beast species Nika? Luo En, you. Kaido started to stutter, unable to say a complete sentence. His pupils dilated, showing infinite shock. Whitebeard was surprised and stunned and lost his voice. How come you also have the awakening power of the Nika fruit? What? After hearing Whitebeard's surprised voice, Sengoku couldn't help but turn his head and look over. He was numb for a moment and shouted in shock. What is Luo En doing? Milky white flocculent flame clouds floated out of Luo En's body and slowly connected, wrapping around behind him. His hair and eyebrows turned milky white, and his original dark blue shirt and black shorts also turned into a layer of silvery light. White. The exact same form of the sun god as Luffy. The second sun god. This incredible scene was the source of shock for Whitebeard, Kaido, and Sengoku. Luo En actually transformed into the sun god. So what is Luffy? How could there be 2 sun gods? Sengoku's exclamation drew everyone's attention away from the battlefield between Luffy and Kong. They all looked at Sengoku and then followed Sengoku's gaze to see Luo En. Captain, what's going on with you? How did Luffy's ability come to you? The Golden Lion's eyes widened, and his mind was filled with questions. What's going on with this horse riding? He doesn't know Luo En's excuse for copying the fruit yet, but he just knows that Luo En is extremely powerful. Everyone in Garp was dumbfounded. They held their heads and collapsed. What happened? How did Luo En awaken the power of the sun god? Ace looked stunned and murmured in confusion. No, is this okay? The ability to copy. Dot can even copy the awakened form of the sun god. If this is the case, how could the strongest devil fruit be Nika? It must be a copying fruit. It's not scientific. Crocodile was stunned, and he almost dropped the cigar in his mouth without realizing it. Captain, are you kidding me? Moria opened his mouth and looked confused. Is the ability to copy fruits so pervert? People like Crocodile and Mariah who knew the truth were confused. Sanji's mentality exploded. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. There must be no such devil fruit. An illusory replica fruit with unknown origin directly subverts Sanji's understanding of devil fruit. Laozi has obviously seen the devil fruit illustrated book, but there is no copy fruit, but you just say it is a copy fruit. Now, even the sun god has copied it. Is this really a copy fruit? Sanji's mentality completely exploded. Zoro's eyes were stunned, also filled with disbelief. The same form as Luffy. Luo En has transformed, Chopper said excitedly. It seems that the two Renren fruit Nika forms failed to arouse bad memories of his Renren fruit and common people form. The ground seems to have changed and is full of elasticity. Usopp said in great surprise. He jumped twice, and the ground under his feet was like a trampoline, still swaying slightly. Hawkeye's eyes were dull. Hancock covered his mouth, with deep shock in his beautiful eyes. Jinbei stared in disbelief, wishing that his eyes would pop out. Aokiji only felt that his mind was in chaos, and the world was spinning. It was all a fantasy. How could it happen? Could it be that what happened today was all a dream? In the sky, the storm slowly subsided, and Luffy jumped down from the sky and appeared in front of everyone, with a bright and contagious smile on his face. Hehehehe. It's so fun, ha ha ha. Milky white flame clouds floated on Luffy's body. Standing in front of Luo En, the two of them were like clones, with exactly the same form. Perhaps the only difference is that Luo En has a harmonious and dominant presence. Heaven, earth, and the sea are the common masters of man. Then Luffy noticed Luo En's appearance and said in surprise, Luo En, have you changed to Gear 5 too? Looking at Luo En, who was in exactly the same state as him just now, Luffy's eyes were full of novelty. He was not as much as the people around him thought, nor did he realize how amazing his fruit was. Besides, Luffy had already seen too many incredible things from Luo En. What happened now? He only thinks this scene is normal. Isn't it? Am I dazzled? How come there are two people? Chaozi opened his eyes, very confused. They're just two people. They both have the same ability. And they're both awakened, Marco said in shock, with cold sweat breaking out on his forehead. Impossible. There are absolutely no two identical devil fruits in the sea. Which of them is the real one? Jin said, almost losing his voice, his tone full of shock. When Luo En and Luffy stood together, people around them realized that there was really no difference between them. They are exactly two sun gods. How is it possible that there are two same guys? It must be fake. It must be fake. Jack shook his head wildly, not believing anything he said. Although he is usually dull and reckless, he is not stupid. How could there be two identical abilities? Especially the most powerful ability of the sun god. Everyone was shocked by the scene of Luo En's transformation. Whitebeard, Kaido, Sengoku, Garp, Aokiji, Shichibukai, and even our own forces find it incredible. Can the sun god's abilities be copied? That is the form of awakening. How heaven-defying is replicating fruit? Isn't it? Dory, is lousy dazzled. Why did you see two Luffy? No, it's two Luo En. Damn, who is it? Brigi rubbed his eyes, feeling that the eyes are not enough, there is too much tea. A Luo En, a Straw Hat Boy, they both possess the power of the awakened Nika sun god. Dory expressed great shock at this scene. At the same time, the giant elephant, thousands of miles away, suddenly stopped in its tracks. The elephant owner, who could not stop for a moment after being punished, was stunned. Joy Boy, why are there two Joey boys? Who the hell are you? The radio waves seemed to be able to span long distances, and the sound resounded in the minds of Luo En and Luffy without warning. Huh, who are you? Luffy scratched his hair with one hand and turned his head to look at his back as he jumped up and down, hoping to find the person who must speak to him in Shenshen continent. Luffy, be quiet and don't want anyone else to know. Luo En's voice suddenly sounded in Luffy's mind, making him quiet, and then asked. Elephant Master, you're not Joey Boy. No. You're Joey Boy. That person is also Joey Boy. The radio wave buzzed, and there was a momentary breakpoint. The elephant owner was confused. Even he couldn't understand why there were two people in Joy Boy. Why, Joey Boy, old friend, what are you going to do? As soon as the two sun gods appeared, the elephant owner directly felt the two identical fluctuations. How could he not be confused, shocked, and confused? Lord Elephant, don't get excited yet, listen to me. If you have to find a Joy Boy, then he is it. And I am the one who can fight alongside you. Luo En controlled the radio waves in his mind, communicate with the elephant owner. Luffy can only receive the elephant owner's radio waves, but cannot actively communicate with the elephant owner. Luo En. The strength is strong, and the ability to exert the power of Nika will make it even more powerful. He is Joey Boy. You are fighting side by side, partner. The elephant owner's voice was a little more emotional, and he seemed to be a little excited. #Shangzu, I will communicate with you later, and may also go to you directly. Now we still have things to deal with. Luo En conveyed his thoughts. I don't know if the elephant owner received it, but there was no movement anyway. Luffy's eyes were round and he stared at Luo En curiously, as if wondering who Luo En was talking to. You, how could you also be Joy Boy? Why do you have the power of the Nika fruit? Ancient Saint Green suddenly pulled out his samurai sword, pointed at Luo En and roared hysterically. If we were to say who was the most shocked and unacceptable person, it must be Ancient Saint Green. The awakening of Luffy fruit has shocked the Ancient Saint Green. When he saw Kong's defeat, Ancient Sage Green took the opportunity to retreat, but was discovered by Luo En and intercepted him. Then Luo En slowly transformed under the gaze of Ancient Saint Green, surrounded by flame clouds, and the sun god appeared. The Ancient Sage Green became numb on the spot. He couldn't accept the fact that Luo En could become the sun god no matter what. It was more because Luffy had awakened and demonstrated his abilities. How did Luo En do it? Are there two Nika fruits in the world? Even more impossible. Countless thoughts popped up in ancient Saint Green's mind, but they couldn't explain the scene before him. Why can't I have the power of the sun god? Luo En raised his arm, held his forehead, shook his head and smiled, seeming helpless at his suspicion. As Luo En finished speaking, he suddenly took a step forward. A very small step, a very light step. However, it caused a huge shock. Centered under Luo En's feet, the ground is assimilated into rubber, full of elasticity. And Luo En's gentle kick was like a consecration touching the ground, and strong Japanese waves swept from Luo En's feet to the surroundings. Everyone feels like standing on the waves, inevitably shaking violently when experiencing the waves. This kick is like a drop of water falling on the water, causing ripples. However, ancient Saint Green, who had attracted much attention from Luo En, suddenly received a strong impact. He groaned and flew backwards uncontrollably, his feet paddling on the rubber. But it has no effect at all. No way. What did you do? Ancient Saint Green's eyes were dull and full of shock, and the hands holding the handle of the knife were shaking violently. He couldn't accept it. Well, Luo En just stamped his foot, but he seemed to be hit by a fierce attack that was difficult to withstand and was directly blown away. Return. Ancient Saint Green had not recovered from the shock when Luo En's light voice sounded again. The ground behind Ancient God Green suddenly bulged out and stretched into a huge palm. The wolf swatted the ancient holy text of green away and flew it back. What kind of power is this? Ancient Saint Green suffered a heavy blow and roared in disbelief. The rushing figure finally stabilized his figure with the help of the samurai sword in his hand, but he also came to Luo En again. Ancient Sage Green raised his head and saw the smiling Luo En staring at him faintly. Immediately, he felt a chill in his heart and subconsciously took a step back. The fear in my heart began to spread boundlessly, like weeds spreading wantonly in March, unstoppable. Luffy wins. You lose. You all lose, Luo En said calmly. The first, you, refers to the ancient Sage Green. The second, you, refers to Whitebeard and Kaido. So, I'm going to collect my bet now. Which one of you agrees? Who objects? There was a calm voice and even changes in emotions, but in everyone's ears, there was an invisible sense of suffocation of being judged by the gods. An idea came to Whitebeard and Kaido's minds at the same time: Sun God. Luo En is the real Sun God. Because he is too scary. As for Luffy, they're confused. Stop pretending. What methods did you use? Even if it is a blood factor, it is impossible to have the power of the Nika fruit. Luo En, who are you? I will never believe it. Believe that the thing about two gods in one boat is a coincidence, Luo Ensheng. Ancient Saint Green roared angrily, his chest heaved violently, and he was breathing heavily. His current mood was extremely unstable. Two gods in one boat. Two sun gods appeared on a pirate ship, it was incredible. Amu in Pangu City suddenly felt a long-lost feeling of fear in her heart. How is it possible? Two gods in one ship. Chapter 105 The Power of the Sun God. I am shocked. Open black lens bracket. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. When Ancient Saint Green said these words, everyone was stunned. Two gods in one boat. Two sun gods appear at the same time, and they are still partners. When they join forces, will there be any power in the world that can resist them? Whitebeard was immersed in Luo En's words about collecting the bet, thinking about what to do next. Do we really want to surrender to Luo En? But there is still a trace of unwillingness. He is Whitebeard. But at this moment, when Ancient Sage Green shouted the words, one ship, two gods, Whitebeard suddenly woke up. At this time, he had no choice at all. Either surrender or die. This is already the opportunity for Luo En, Renwu and the others to choose. Ancient Saint Green has no second choice. Kaido also resisted the idea of surrender and suddenly woke up. The Spade Pirates. The undisputed strongest pirate group. Throughout the ages, they are the strongest. The two sun gods destroyed everything. The strength of Golden Lion, Ace, Zoro, Crocodile, Moonlight Moria, Sanji, Nami, etc. are also abnormally strong. The legendary pirate Golden Lion defeated Marine Marshal Sengoku. Ace of Fire defeated Marine Admiral Aokiji. The swordsman Zoro, with his eagle eyes, ascends to the throne of the world's best swordsman. Crocodile controls the explosion of extremely powerful dark gold sand eating. Moonlight Moria, Sunhand's mysterious shadow manipulation technique. Demon God Sanji, after awakening the blood factor, his defense and recovery power are comparable to those of the Zone Phantom Beast species. Nami, the Queen of Weather, possesses the strongest Logia, thunder and lightning, and can also control weather changes. Robin, the son of the devil, awakened flower fruit, and Ren Zhedong reached the peak. For Sniper Usopp, the multiplier fruit is simply his natural choice devil fruit. Chopper, the ship's doctor, a true sleeping beast, the sea kings of the land. King of Souls Brook, the real king of souls, the original tomb of the emperor. Frankie, the shipwright, lost all his thick hair for the peerless battleship. Trafalgar Law, the most pervert op fruit ability user, has unlimited potential for fruit awakening in the future. Buggy the Clown, a former crew member of One Piece, wakes up after being torn apart. Princess Perona, the strongest warrior who dares to call out Luo En and is still alive today. The configuration on this ship puts Whitebeard and Kaido to shame. Looking at it in detail, it is indeed a bit ridiculously powerful. This doesn't even count the allies, the giant soldier pirates. And the Golden Emperor, Tezzolo, who has not yet joined. With this force gathering together, who can resist the sea? Are the four emperors joining forces? At this time, Tezzoro was completely determined to join the Spade Pirates. Although he didn't know what was going on with the two legendary sun gods 183. But they were two sun gods. There was always a better chance. No good. Holy Land, Mariajoy, Pangu City, among the flowers. Red lightning roared, and the clear and boundless sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds, lightning and thunder, filled with an aura of destruction. These are all caused by Im's emotional changes. Two gods in one ship completely made Im unable to suppress his anger. How could there be two sun gods? Two Joey boys. How to play this? What happened? Why is there a second person with the power of Joey Boy? Who among them is the real Joey Boy? The palms under King Im's robe slowly clenched into fists, and his eyes narrowed. I kept distinguishing the difference between Luo En and Luffy in my mind, thinking about the possible reasons why this scene happened. If two sun gods really appeared, it would be really terrifying. The five elders lowered their heads, all dripping with cold sweat and extremely nervous. The two sun gods are the weight of life that they cannot bear. The storm is sweeping among the flowers, and there is no sign of stopping. In the world government's garrison area, it's rare for Kizaru and Akainu to sit down together and play a game of chess. The black and white chess pieces and the vertical and horizontal grid chessboard seem to represent a game of world war. I don't know what happened to Dressrosa's actions. Sakazuki, it's time for you to leave. Kizaru crossed his legs and wrapped a circle of gauze around his arms. Although he was injured, he looked casual. Akainu's face was solemn and full of coldness. He calmly lifted the chess pieces on the chessboard, ate the chess pieces that Kizaru had just dropped, and threw them out of the chessboard. The wound on his right arm has slowly healed, but the arm cannot grow or be reattached. Because his ability is Magma, even if he builds a mechanical arm, it will be difficult to carry his ability. Such a fierce attack. You never thought about adding an arm so you can drink tea while playing chess. Kizaru seemed to bring up the topic accidentally. Akainu frowned. As long as the battle is not affected, drinking tea is something you do only after retirement. But Akainu didn't say a word. Pirates will never die, and Lousy will never retire. While the two were playing a game, suddenly there was a violent shaking under their feet, and then a very powerful force appeared from the center of Pangu City. The chessboard in front of the two people suddenly shattered from the middle, and all the black and white chess pieces collapsed. The world in chess that the two of them played was destroyed, just as the world they knew in reality was undergoing tremendous changes. What happened? Who is this aura? Five elders. Akainu stood up suddenly, frowned and looked in the direction of the center, but found nothing. I'm afraid something happened. Kizaru's face didn't look very good either. There is no news about Dressrosa's actions for so long, which makes people really unhappy. It can be said that Kizaru and Akainu are the two most laid-back senior generals this time. They still don't know anything about the incredible things that happened to Dressrosa. Marineford and Advisor Crane are already very busy, while Akainu and Kizaru can still play chess leisurely. I just don't know if Akainu will be able to sleep from today on. Dressrosa. No. You are not the sun god. You are not Joey Boy. He is. I remember. That skeleton said that you are demon fruit power. Your devil fruit ability is copying. You are the one with the ability to copy fruit. An idea flashed in Ancient Saint Green's mind, and what Brooke said before suddenly came to mind. I didn't think there was any problem at the time, but now I realize that Brooke's words have exposed Luo En's secret, the copying fruit. Ancient Saint Green finally remembered. If he didn't know the reason why Luo En became the sun god, ancient sage Luen would never rest in peace. Copy fruit. How come you haven't heard of this devil fruit? Whitebeard murmured, his brows furrowing slightly. Lousy has never heard of any devil fruit that can copy other people's abilities. Kaido said doubtfully. The cloned fruit is just the devil fruit made up by Luo En. How can it exist? Moreover, if the copying fruit has such a powerful ability, then how can everyone who obtains the copying fruit be an unknown person? However, no copying fruit has appeared for hundreds of years, how could it exist? Impossible, there is absolutely no such devil fruit. Sengoku said in a very serious tone. There is no such thing as the devil fruit. Sanji looked at Sengoku's firm attitude and tone, and suddenly felt like he had found a soulmate. Finally, someone questioned this abominable copying fruit. Copying the fruit. Even if you can copy the ability, you can't copy the awakened form, right? Garp asked with a gloomy face. Garp is truly fearless at this point. The frog in the well. Can only the Nika fruit be awakened? Can't Lousy's duplicate fruit be awakened? Lousy can tell you clearly that Lousy is the most powerful devil fruit, a devil fruit more powerful than the sun god. Luo En said nonsense without blushing or heartbeat. Luo En, you will regret it. Ancient Sage Green said through gritted teeth, his eyes wanting to tear Luo En into pieces. Noisy. Luo En's eyes turned cold, and his palms suddenly clenched tightly towards Ancient Sage Green, with golden arcs raging in his palms. The Ancient Saint Green's expression suddenly changed, and the katana in his hand suddenly gathered all the strength in his body. Conqueror's haki swarmed in, all wrapped around the katana, and instantly formed a strong slash attached to the blade. There was a sense of cutting and fragmentation in the surrounding space. Ancient Saint Green will use this most powerful blow to witness the true power of Luo En. 5 elders. I defended you until the last moment. The rest is up to you. Ancient Saint Green roared angrily, venting his emotions. 5 elders. What does he mean by this? Luo En's brows covered by white hair frowned slightly, as if he noticed something. In the chest pocket of Ancient Saint Green, there is a very small telephone bug with its head exposed, its tentacles raised high, recording everything around it. Video call bug. So, everything is known to the 5 elders AFDD. Luo En's eyes suddenly became sharp, and his clenched fist suddenly hit the Ancient Sage Green. In an instant, a bright 9-color light extended along Luo En's arm and wrapped around his fist. The unprecedented 9-color light gathers various forms of power, making it even more dazzling and dazzling with the rainbow. Luo En's speed is even faster than ultimate. The air exploded. Luo En somehow appeared in front of Ancient Saint Green. And the most horrifying thing is that the sword that Ancient Saint Green brought together with the most powerful slash has not even been raised yet, let alone slashed out. The huge strength gap could only make Ancient Sage Green watch helplessly as Jukai's fist fell suddenly. 5 elders. You are next. Luo En whispered to the mini phone bug on the chest of Ancient Saint Green. The next second, the fist fell, and 9-colored divine light penetrated the heaven and earth. Nika fruit, exploding red flame, dark gold sand devouring, sound of thunder, surgery, piao piao, huang quan, multiplication, wah wah, ghost, everyone fruit common people, fall apart. All abilities show the form of energy. Gathered together, entangled by Conqueror's haki and armament haki, forming a strong 9-color beam that penetrated the ground. The power that kills everything instantly erupts, and the world becomes eclipsed. A dark hole opened in the sky, and the ground was directly and mercilessly penetrated. Whitebeard's pupils were shocked to the extreme, cold sweat quietly dripped from his forehead, and he trembled and said, "What a strong energy. This energy surpasses everything. Laozi has never seen such a horrific attack." Kaido lost his voice and changed color, shocked. After Whitebeard and Kaido saw the power of Luo En's attack, they no longer had any thoughts and were ready to abide by the bet. Luo En's state and strength are simply unmatchable. Standing there, he is the master of the world. Even arrogant people like Whitebeard and Kaido can't even think of resisting. Mary, Hoya, Pangu City. The last scene that I am and the 5 elders saw, or rather the frozen scene, was Luo En's calm face, unruffled eyes, and murderous words. 5 elders, you are next. The arrogant words echoed among the flowers. The 5 elders were nervous and sweating profusely. Madman. Luo En is simply crazy. Is it really over? He killed Ancient Saint Green. With just one blow. Saint Nasharang murmured in astonishment, his pupils flickering and his face full of shock. Kill Ancient Saint Green instantly. What kind of strength can do this? Who is Luo En? How did the copying fruit appear? The power awakened by the copying fruit allowed him to copy the form of the sun god. Saint Pitt's mind was full of doubts. Everything seemed to be a book from heaven, making it difficult for him to understand and even harder to accept. Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Aokiji and 80,000 soldiers, wouldn't it mean that the whole army was annihilated? The commander of the Knights of God was killed. Saint Wuchuli's voice was trembling, and he. Thinking of the serious consequences of this action, he shuddered. But Luo En seems to be able to really use the power of the Nika fruit. What is the 9-color beam of light at the end? Mo Sheng murmured in shock. Damn guy, we must not let him go. We can't let the entire Spade Pirates go. Saint Satan said viciously, then changed to a respectful tone and pointed in Im's direction. Shang Huawu asked, Lord Im, please tell us what to do next. We must eradicate the Spade Pirates and eliminate all threats at all costs. Eradicate the threat at all costs. The other 4 people quickly followed suit. The real leader now is Im. The person who controls everything and issues all orders is their creator, Im. And since Im appeared for so long, her face has always been hidden under the shadow of the crown, making it difficult to see her true face. At this time, the anger in Im's heart was quietly ignited. Luo En's last words were meant for the 5 elders, especially for him. Without a doubt, Luo En is the biggest threat. It even made Im feel threatened and pressured. Luo En, the Spade Pirates. The Green Saints and Kong have all been defeated. No matter how much manpower is used, it will be useless to bring Vegapunk to Mariajoy. Im ordered in a calm voice. There was no trace of anger in the calm voice, but there was a touch of calmness and calmness. A ruler who has been a ruler for hundreds of years certainly has unusual magnanimity. Even under such circumstances, when faced with the appearance of the 2 sun gods, Im is still confident that he can eliminate all these threats. Yes. The 5 elders responded respectfully. Have people send the pure gold in the treasure house to the flowers. Send people to find the pure gold at all costs. Im's voice ordered, and this incident seemed to make Im's voice serious. A few points. Clear. After that, there are arrangements for some deployment of the army. Summoning Vegapunk shows that Im does not want to rely on manpower to solve Luo En, because the strength shown by Luo En is too strong. Even if all 5 elders are dispatched, it may be impossible. None of them are Luo En's opponents. As for Im personally taking action, it has not reached the level of serious use. In addition, there are still very important preparations for I am who has just woken up. Dressrosa, old Saint Green. Was killed. Sengoku said in shock. Ancient Saint Green was not only killed, but also killed instantly. This is simply shocking. What kind of power does Luo En have? Garp's eyes widened with an incredible look on his face, and his eyes were even more confused. Ancient Saint Green, the commander of the Knights of God, can be said to be one of the strongest men in the sea. Was killed instantly by Luo En with one punch. No one can stay calm. Where the Ancient Saint Green was, the sky and the ground became hollow. And the Ancient Saint Green disappeared without a trace. Even one of the 12 skills of the Supreme Sharp Sword, Guangxi, in his hand was completely destroyed by the 9-color energy. By the way, Kong who fell into the abyss had already been hit by Luo En using his abilities, completely ending the opponent's life. In this battle, so far, the Spade Pirates can be said to have won a complete victory. There are still the Whitebeard Pirates, the Beasts Pirates, and the Marines led by Sengoku and Aokiji. As for Garp, it is still the state of the soul. This is definitely the easiest war Garp has ever fought, and also the most stressful. Whitebeard, Kaido, Sengoku and others were still immersed in the power of Luo En's punch, unable to extricate themselves. Shock and fear filled their hearts. Boy, it's your turn now. Luo En's figure appeared in front of Whitebeard and Kaido at some unknown time. Chapter 106 All join. Everyone awakens conquerors. Open black lens bracket please subscribe close black lens bracket. Boy, it's your turn now. The faint words rang in the ears of Whitebeard and Kaido, waking them up from the shock. The two of them looked at Luo En as if they were looking at a monster. When they first saw Luo En's 5.5 billion bounty, Whitebeard and Kaido still didn't take Luo En seriously. This time, Kaido agreed to Doflamingo's invitation and prepared to take action against the Spade Pirates. Although Whitebeard said he came to join in the fun, he was also ready to take action. He wanted to see Luo En's strength. Well now, they have already seen Luo En's strength before they take action. Terrifying strength, pervert strength, unreasonable strength. With Luo En's current strength, it would probably be no more difficult to deal with the 4 emperors than to deal with the ancient Saint Green. At this time, there was no thought of seeking death. The Whitebeard Pirates agreed to become an affiliate of the Spade Pirates, but Lousy has a condition. Whitebeard took a deep breath and said very seriously. Explain. Luo En said briefly and concisely. The Whitebeard Pirates can be at your disposal, but Lousy wants to fight with you. Whitebeard made the most reckless decision in his life and insisted on challenging Luo En. Otherwise, surrendering like this is definitely not Whitebeard's character. The reason why he agreed was to find a way out for Marco and others. A remnant of the old era, there is no ship that can carry him in the new era. Just after Whitebeard said these words, Luen suddenly remembered the long-lost clear reminder in his mind. Ding. Successfully recruited S-class crew. Edward Newgate Whitebeard. Open black lens bracket Conqueror's Hockey Awakening function is activated. Close black lens bracket. Finally succeeded. Luo En was secretly relieved. All Conqueror's goals are finally coming true. Conqueror's Hockey Awakening function is enabled. The Universal Training Warehouse will become more domineering from now on. At the same time, other members of the Whitebeard Pirates were sentenced to S-Class 1. Phoenix, Marco, Diamond, Josie, Foil, Beasta, Blackbeard, Marshall D. Teach. 4 in total. Because Whitebeard has agreed to make the entire pirate group a subsidiary of the Spade Pirates, all crew members have become part of Luo En's strength. It's just that Blackbeard is also defined as a lower-level crew member. The future 4 Emperors level characters have huge potential. However, he did not follow Whitebeard this time, but stayed at the station. Luo En will not deal with this problem for the time being. Suddenly, a huge force quietly flowed through Luo En's limbs. This was no longer just a superposition of power, but more like a sublimated ability, changing Luo En's body, thus fluid, muscles, and bones. Even every cell is undergoing sublimation. Luo En's body was washed by energy, and his aura was quietly powerful. The data at the bottom of the panel has also changed. Universal Training Warehouse Upgrade Conditions, Level Crew, 24/30. Luo En was shocked. Recruiting 30 S-class crew members can upgrade the Universal Training Warehouse. This condition not only made Luo En very happy. The core of his transformation is the sum of strength. But everyone else's changes are all changes brought about by the Universal Training Warehouse, which makes others grow rapidly, and Tuan Neng provides Luo En with considerable strength. So far, Luo En has truly become the top player in the world. Standing at the top of the pirate world. If the Universal Training Warehouse is upgraded, what changes will it bring? Luo En not only has some expectations. However, when faced with Whitebeard's invitation to fight, Luo En readily agreed and said calmly, no problem. Where's Kaido? Kaido saw Luo En looking at him and said decisively, Beasts Pirates is willing to become an affiliate of the Spade Pirates, but I will not challenge you. Challenge Luo En. It's just crazy. Why not challenge Luffy and show yourself? When he challenged Ron and was knocked down with a punch, he was the one who was embarrassed. Kaido looked at Whitebeard, curled his lips and shook his head, not sure what Whitebeard was thinking. Ding. Successfully recruited S-class crew member, Kaido. Ding. Successfully recruited S-class crew member, Jin. Ding. Successfully recruited S-class crew member, Jack. Ding. Successfully recruited S-class crew member, Quinn. Similarly, all members of Beast's pirates have become the targets of Luo En's strength, and there is another influx of power. Various devil fruit abilities, Conqueror's Haki, Armament Haki, Observation Haki, and other types of skills, all swarmed into Luo En's body and soul. For a moment, it seemed that nothing could be distinguished in detail, except that Luo En's body had an energy mass that was gestating, something was being conceived. These forces of summation and feedback were slowly turning into a brand new force that was about to be conceived. And out. In general, the power of the pirate world can no longer completely restrain and restrict Luo En, and he is about to transform into a new level. Well, I thought you were wasting time by going together. If you don't come, then Whitebeard will be the one. However, I also have a condition, Whitebeard, in the future in front of Lousy, you should call yourself, I. Luo En glanced at Kaido, then looked at Whitebeard. Whitebeard was shocked, realizing Luo En's warning, his expression changed, and he shouted loudly. Luo En, take action. As long as you win, Lousy has nothing to say. Whitebeard's aura exploded, he directly inserted the handle of Kong Yun's knife into the ground, and faced Luo En with his bare hands. Pure white light waves flowed on the fist, and Shock Fruit's ability burst out. Immediately, Conqueror's Haki was released powerfully, wrapping around Whitebeard's fist, and the colored electric arc surrounded Whitebeard. Whitebeard knew clearly that if he didn't go all out when facing Luo En, he might not have a chance. This uncle feels so strong. Luffy said with a smile. His hair gradually turned from white back to black, and the flame cloud behind him gradually disappeared. Fifth gear, released. Of course, this is for Emperor's Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world before Luo En. Ace explained from the side. I have heard of Whitebeard's name before. Whitebeard actually dares to challenge the captain. This guy's temper is as bad as ever. Golden Lion curled his lips and was not optimistic about Whitebeard. I'm afraid Whitebeard can't do it either. Sengoku sighed heavily, with a look of helplessness on his face. Now that Luo En has killed the grim ancient saint, members of the Knights of God, and Kong, it's his turn next to Sengoku. Luo En, let me see your full strength. Whitebeard roared angrily, and his aura exploded, as if white air currents falling from the sky were flowing around him. This was the impact of the aura exploding to ultimate on the surroundings. From a distance, it looked like a gravity field. A storm was unleashed from Whitebeard, and the surrounding earth began to collapse. After Whitebeard roared, he suddenly punched and rushed forward. The power of Shock Fruit and the power of Ba Tang were all concentrated on the fist and swung towards Luo En. Luo En just raised his head slightly, glanced at Whitebeard, and said lightly, see my full strength. You are too naive. After the words fell, a white ball of light flashed on Luo En's fist. Shock Fruit power. Luo En gently waved his fist forward, as if he waved his hand casually. However, an invisible storm suddenly blew up in the space, which was even difficult to detect. The only sound that could be heard was, click, click, like the sound of broken glass, and countless cracks like broken mirrors continued in front of Whitebeard. The terrifying power condensed on Whitebeard's fist was instantly resolved by Luo En's Shock Fruit ability. Not only that, but it also passed by Whitebeard, calming all the surrounding storms. But unfortunately, it didn't cause any damage to Whitebeard. Even Whitebeard felt that his attack was dissipated invisibly. When the power on his fist disappeared, Whitebeard still maintained his forward posture. Finally, he stopped and looked at his fist blankly, with an expression on his face as if he had seen it. It was as incredible as a ghost. The punch he unleashed with all his strength was easily deflected by Luo En with a wave of his hand. It was simply a dimensionality-reducing blow. There was a huge difference in strength between the two. The most important thing is that Whitebeard himself didn't react at all. He didn't even know how the energy he gathered disappeared. Whitebeard was completely confused and completely shocked. Luo En naturally knows Whitebeard's character, so he wants to keep Whitebeard for his own use. With the existence of the Universal Training Warehouse, Whitebeard and Kaido still have hope to continue to improve their strength and break through themselves. When the time comes, all their strength will be fed back to Luo En. Why not Luo En? I have shown my ability. If you lose, you must be willing to admit defeat. You Whitebeard will not regret it, right? Luo En said with a smile, as if the person who just took action was not him at all. Copy the power of the Shock Fruit. I didn't expect that one day someone else would use the power of the Shock Fruit to defeat me. I'm convinced. Whitebeard reluctantly stopped, with a wry smile on his lips. There was nothing he could do. The gap between him and Luo En is not even a small step. Even if you add Kaido, Garp, Sengoku, even the entire four emperors, no, even if everyone present combined, they are no match for Luo En. The extreme gap made Whitebeard feel frustrated and had no idea of challenging. Kaido, Golden Lion, and Sengoku were all astonished. The power of Shock Fruit. The power used is actually the power of Shock Fruit. Kaido was excited. I originally thought that copying the fruit was just an excuse and was impossible. But in such a short period of time, Luo En directly displayed Whitebeard's Devil Fruit ability, making Kaido believe that Luo En was a fruit copying ability user. After all, what happened to Luo En was incredible enough, and with the addition of an incredible copying fruit, the whole thing seemed reasonable. Captain is so fierce. Golden Lion's eyes shone and he almost started to worship Luo En. The real strong man can defeat 4 emperors in seconds with one hand. With this kind of strength, the world government's dispatch of the 5 elders will not help. Sengoku sighed heavily. Dad, aren't you? Dad. Marco and others rushed to Whitebeard and said nervously. It's okay. Remember, from now on, we will be a pirate group affiliated with the Spade Pirates. We must obey Luo En's orders. Even if Lousy is no longer around, you must carry out the orders. Do you understand? Rybird suddenly looked at Marco seriously. At all. Zero. Please give me flowers. Before Marco and others could speak, Luo En greeted. Okay, there's no need to act like a bastard. Besides, if you merge into the Spade Pirates, I will keep your original pirate group and won't care about you. I'll just come to you when I need him. Don't worry, I won't do anything to your pirate group. Don't think Lousy is so evil, Luo En said to Whitebeard and Kaido to reassure them. In this way, Golden Lion, you establish the 3rd team. Whitebeard, you. The pirate group is the 4th team. Kaido, Beast's Pirates is the 5th team. Each division can develop independently, and Lousy will not interfere at all. Kaido blinked and his eyes lit up. He understood the meaning. Even though the name is the Spade's Pirates, the Beast's Pirates are still the Beast's Pirates. Whitebeard also let out a long sigh of relief when he heard this. Really, Captain, let me form a 3rd team. Golden Lion Shiki instantly became energetic. The conditions for agreeing to you must be met, Luo En said with a smile. When Golden Lion Shiki and Sengoku fought, Luo En promised that if Shiki won, he would be given a division captain, and now Shiki finally got what he wanted. Captain, what's the problem with manpower? Shiki asked in a low voice. He came to Luo En alone, and his family fortune was overthrown by Sengoku and Garp in East Blue. Luo En thought for a moment and looked at Tezzolo. Before Luo En could speak, Tezzolo immediately said, Captain Luo En, I am willing to join you. I wonder if you can reward me and give me the next 10 opportunities to perform. Luo En smiled and nodded with satisfaction, very good. From now on, you can be Golden Lion's deputy and just let your hands and feet go. Point 0. Ding. Successfully recruited S-class crew, Tezzolo. 29/30ths. Understood, Captain. Tezzolo responded respectfully. Shiki was also full of joy, and it was so great to have official business with Tezzolo. The people around were witnessing all this. The Spade Pirates instantly had the blessings of the Whitebeard Pirates and Kaido Pirates. 1st Division, Crocodile. 2nd Division, look at Mariah. Team 3, Golden Lion Shiki. The 4th Division, the Whitebeard Pirates. Team 5, Beasts Pirates. No one can shake the status of Crocodile and Moria. In Luo En's eyes, these 2 people are veteran figures who work hard with him, not to mention their loyalty. The strength of Crocodile and Moria is almost the same as that of Kaido and Aokiji. The only thing they lack is Conqueror's Haki, but this will be made up for soon. It is too easy for Luo En to recruit S-class crew members now. There is another Yamato on Onigashima, but he is not judged as a crew member. Hawkeye, Jinbei, Hancock, do you want to join the Spade Pirates? Luo En looked up at Hawkeye, Jinbei, and the Empress not far away, and invited him. This sudden invitation made Hawkeye, D, and Jinbei confused and flattered. They didn't think about what they would gain by joining, but they knew clearly what they would lose if they refused. Eventually, Hawkeye, Empress, and Jinbei joined the Spade Pirates. Of these 3, Luo En more recognized Hawkeye's strength, the Empress's beauty, and Jinbei's identity. Luo En is already thinking about getting the ancient weapon. Pluton Frankie can build it, and it seems that Pluton is also available in Wano Kuni. Anyway, how to assemble the warship will have to be discussed later. Poseidon's power is determined by Shirahoshi, and Jinbei's identity makes it easy to get in touch with Shirahoshi, and he is naturally fond of him. Ding. Successfully recruited S-class crew, Dracula Mahawk. Ding. Successfully recruited S-class crew member, Boa Hancock. Close black lens bracket. Ding. Successfully recruited S-class crew member, Jinbei. Ding. The Universal Training Warehouse evolves. Time acceleration increases. 1 hour equals 30 days. Close black lens bracket. 1 hour equals 30 days. Previously, 1 hour equaled 15 days. Now it's doubled. If calculated regardless of day and night, even 1 hour is equivalent to approximately 2 months of external cultivation results. The Universal Training Warehouse is definitely becoming more and more heaven-defying. This powerful effect will probably surprise the new members. Luo En is preparing to let all S-class crew members enter. They must practice hard and work hard to improve their strength, and at least receive rewards. Ahem, Brook, don't let Mr. Garp go back yet. When Luo En was about to talk to Sengoku, Garp, and Aokiji, he suddenly discovered that Garp was still in a green soul state. Yohohoho, I almost forgot. Brook let out a strange laugh, and the green will-o'-the-wisp-like flames on his body began to recede, and then returned to his skeleton form. Garp also lost his power and returned to his true form. Garp opened his eyes and took a deep breath, the familiar feeling finally returned. At this moment, Dory finally received a phone call from the Giants, and then his expression changed drastically and he said angrily. Shanks and Big Mom attack Elbaf. Kill the king. Destroy the treasure tree Adam. Luo En's face instantly darkened. Baoshu Adam is gone again. It's also a good idea to take targeted pills.